Today on Rock the Park.
Oh boy, this is it.
We're on top of the world.
We are up in the Arctic Circle.
Oh my gosh, it's starting to get cold.
And we're not alone out here.
Way off in the distance, I see something move.
I think it's a wolf. Check this out.
It's a lot of ups.
Oh man!
I have to keep pinching myself.
And some downs.
Turns out there's no water.
All right, time's ticking.
And it all starts right now. I'm Jack Stewart.
And I'm Colton Smith. We've been buddies for years, and we love exploring the national parks.
It's all about packing up a car and just doing it. Just hitting the road.
Our goal is to visit every national park in this country.
And when you go off the beaten path like we do,
there's no telling what will happen next.
Get set to rock the park. Welcome to the Arctic Circle, the name given to the vast region around the North Pole, where contrary to popular belief, much of the land is not covered by snow and ice during the summer months.
This park is an adventurer's dream. There are no roads and no trails, just millions of acres of untamed wilderness.
This is Gates of the Arctic National Park in Alaska.
And we're here to explore the Arrigetch Peaks, some of the most rugged granite spires out there.
We're battling the elements on a 3-day backpacking trip. We hope to spot some wildlife and something equally as thrilling, the Northern Lights. Gates of the Arctic is the northernmost park in the United States and the second largest, sprawling over 800 square miles. The entire park sits north of the Arctic Circle. Getting there is no easy feat.
Right now, we're in Fairbanks, Alaska, which is pretty far north as is. And now we have to get on a plane and go even further north above the Arctic Circle. I've never been that far north.
It's hard to get much more north before you start going south.
That's true.
We're hopping a short flight from Fairbanks to Bettles, Alaska, about 240 miles north. It's one of the very few entry points into the park. From Bettles, you have two options: hike in or take a float plane.
Nice and cozy.
The flight from Bettles to Gates of the Arctic is absolutely spectacular. We're flying over these enormous, vast valleys and staring up at these rocky, majestic mountain peaks. Our minds are already blown, and we haven't even set foot yet in the actual park.
We're being dropped off at a lake near the Alatna River, which winds through the mountains. We're meeting up with our friend Brooke, who guided us down the Arrigetch River a year ago. On this trip, she's gonna take us to check out the Arrigetch Peaks, one of the most dramatic places in these mountains. But we need to hurry because we're already 3 hours behind schedule.
The whole journey is going to be absolutely epic, and just getting there. We're going to start out in really wet, muskegee tundra, and then we'll rise up into that classic alpine tundra and more of that granite.
So today's really about just making the miles.
I think our biggest goal is racing daylight today. We have 7 hours till the sun sets, and I think we're going to use all of them.
Our goal for the day is to climb about 4,000 feet in elevation, the equivalent of a 400-story building, up to a small alpine lake.
There, we're gonna set up a base camp where we can take a couple of days and really just go out and explore these mountains.
As we make our way up the mountain, I've got my binoculars at the ready. I'm constantly scanning for wildlife. And then way off in the distance, I see something move. Down a bit, you're gonna see a little thing of white.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there.
What do you think? We got moose?
Oh, they are most certainly moose. What made me spot them so easily was I knew that there couldn't be snow down there, but there were these giant clumps of white. They're antlers, and they're enormous.
Alaskan moose are huge, and they need to take in over 9,000 calories a day to maintain their enormous bodies. Moose are plant eaters, and in the winter, they'll munch on pine cones and shrubs. In the summer, they'll hang out near the water, chowing down on aquatic plants.
It's been slow going, but finally we crest our hill and it just opens up.
we can start to see the peaks ahead of us, and down below, the entire Alatna River Valley where we started.
We have covered a lot of elevation in a pretty short window of time.
I think we've come up a little over 2,000 feet and in about a mile. So that's like pretty insane.
So from here, we're gonna keep going up. It's gonna be easier terrain.
Yeah.
But we still have a lot of ground to cover.
We've got another 5 miles to hike and 2,000 more vertical feet to climb to get to the lake where we need to build our base camp.
The reason we have to get to our camp today is because the Arctic is almost like a desert. There's not a ton of water out here.
So if we want to hydrate or have a hot meal tonight, we have to get there. But it's not looking good.
We're realizing that the terrain is slowing us down a lot more than we originally thought. We're making progress, but it's not looking like we're gonna get to our lake.
Obviously, the sun is going down. We're still 2 miles away.
This is early September in Gates of the Arctic, which is basically on the verge of winter anywhere else. When the sun goes down here, it goes down fast and it gets cold even quicker.
We need to set up camp before it gets dark, but we also need water if we want to eat. Luckily for us, we spot a creek way down in the valley, so despite the distance, we basically backtrack and climb down 1,500 feet to get to it.
It's not exactly where we thought we would end up tonight, but we're gonna have water and we're gonna be set for the night.
It takes a good hour to get near the bottom, and then reality sinks in.
We come down off of the ridge, and our creek is not what we thought it was.
Turns out there's no water in it.
None whatsoever. It was a complete mirage.
We're thirsty, we're hungry, and we're exhausted. Our only goal now, find a place to make camp and get warm. But that means we need to find flat ground.
I think our best bet is gonna go back up all that way and maybe make a camp on the ridge. I mean, it's the flattest spot. I think we can get there before it's pitch dark.
Yep.
Ridge, the
All
ridge.
right. Time's ticking.
So far today, we've basically hiked up and down nearly 6,000 feet in elevation. Now, we have to climb back up another 1,600 feet while racing the setting sun.
So that way up there, that's probably where we're gonna have to set up camp. And that's a long ways away.
Oh, Alaska. I knew that we'd get worked at some point. Thought it'd be a little further on in the adventure, though.
It's day 2 in the Arctic Circle, where after failing to reach our destination, we spent a cold and hungry night on top of a mountain.
Getting going on mornings like these is always a little difficult. Unfortunately, we have some ground that we have to make up from yesterday.
Let's tear down.
Start moving?
Start moving. Ready, break.
Break!
Our plan is to hike the 2 miles to the lake,
Feels good to move.
set up our base camp, and prepare for some real food before deciding what else we'd like to accomplish today.
These 2 miles are much more intense than we expected.
Top heavy pack, man. Not good.
But every step is worth it when we finally get our first glimpse of the Arrigetch peaks.
Look at the massive landscape around us. I mean, we're really up here on the top of the world right now.
Boy, oh boy. Is that the lake?
Yeah, we made
Yes!
it!
This small glacial lake sits in a valley formed by glacial erosion. Just enough snow and rain falls here to keep this lake replenished.
This landscape is so vast.
It's unbelievable. It really is.
Looks like that's a good, nice, flat spot for us to camp right
Yeah,
there. Maybe pitch our tents right there.
We're just a few hundred yards from camp when Brooke spots something.
Oh, hey, check it out, you guys. It's a bear dig.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Whoa! Everything out here right now seems so calm and desolate, but this is another obvious sign that we're not alone.
While most wildlife lives down in the lower elevations, grizzlies have adapted to the dry alpine. Up here, they feed on roots, shrubs, and small mammals, which is what a bear was going after here.
This is easily the biggest bear dig site that I've ever seen.
Yeah, totally going in for an Arctic ground squirrel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
It
gosh.
went for a while. I wonder if it got it, because it's like really deep in there.
I know down in the lower 48, a lot of times we see bears digging where they're getting like the pine cones and the
Yeah.
other things like that. Up here, was this guy digging for the squirrel itself?
Yeah. Because remember, right now, they're going through what they call hyperphagia, where they have to eat 20,000 calories a day, which is the equivalent of 25 cheeseburgers.
Which sounds pretty good right now. After setting up our camp,
Nice place you got here.
and finally eating our first hot meal in a day and a half, it's time to decide on our goal for the afternoon.
Here's Arrigetch Creek. Again, this is Circle Lake, so we came up 1,000,000 feet.
That's what it felt like.
It all looks so small and simple when you're looking at it on a map. We set out on a route that will take us up to another ridgeline where we can see some gnarly peaks with names like Battleship and Arsenal. Even though the landscape is wide open and we're likely to spot a grizzly long before we get too close, we're still making plenty of noise.
Hey, bear.
Hey, bear!
Bears aren't the only wildlife out here. Musk oxen live primarily in the Arctic, and these big guys weigh between 500 and 800 pounds. Their long, shaggy coats help them survive winter temperatures of 90 degrees below zero.
Definitely watch the loose rocks in here. Oh, like that one?
Just like that, Colt.
Careful, easy.
After a few short miles, we reach a perfect overlook just as the sun is starting to set.
I have to keep pinching myself that this is real and we are up in the Arctic Circle. As a kid, my thoughts of the Arctic was that it's like the North Pole. You know, you're gonna get up there, it's snow and ice everywhere. But when you look at these mountains, it reminds me of something you'd see in like Death Valley.
There's so much more out here to see, but it's time to head back to camp for a whole different kind of show.
Look north. I'm okay with the sun going down.
Yeah, because it's a good sky for the northern lights.
If we're lucky, we might see the bright lights of the Aurora Borealis tonight. The lights are the result of collisions between gaseous particles in our atmosphere and charged particles from the sun.
I hope there's a big solar storm going on right now.
Let's each set our alarms at different hours in the middle of the night and then just plan to wake up and look for them.
That's
I
a
like
great
that.
idea.
Okay.
Nice.
Sounds
Okay.
perfect.
We'll keep our eyes to the skies tonight, and tomorrow we're going to even greater heights.
It's our last full day here in Gates of the Arctic National Park.
Morning.
Good morning.
Last night, we watched the skies for the northern lights, but they never appeared. But we have no time to dwell on that. We've got a big day ahead of us.
This whole trip, there's been one peak that's been hovering above us, the Citadel. Today's plan is to get up on this thing and check out why the Arrigetch peaks are called one of the most rugged in the world.
So you see this ridge out here?
Yep. Yeah.
I think that we can get up on there. It's gonna be steep, but I think we can manage it.
Today, our trek up to this ridge is probably only in reality maybe 2 miles. It's gonna feel like triple that just due to the terrain that we're gonna be going across.
We seem to be getting closer and closer, but everything in Gates of the Arctic is just so vast that it's hard to really find any points that can give you a good indication of how far you've traveled. As we're walking, we spot a little buddy who's been sort of spying on us. We've spotted a tiny little Arctic ground squirrel, and the ones that you find up here at Gates of the Arctic are much smaller than the ground squirrels you find even in a place like Denali, just because of the lack of food. But don't let their size fool you. These guys are tough.
Arctic ground squirrels survive the long, dark winters by hibernating for up to 8 months a year. While nestled in their burrows, their body temperature drops to 26 degrees. That's below the freezing point of water, the lowest of any mammal ever recorded.
This little squirrel blends in perfectly with the rocks. Oh, and there he goes, back to the burrow.
We've hiked up the valley for at least 1.5 miles now and reached the base of the ridge.
Jeez, that's steep. Yeah, that's real steep.
Real steep.
We're gonna have to approach this climb carefully and stick close together so we don't kick rocks down on each other.
Ooh, it's chilly with the t-shirt on, that's for sure.
Indeed. We'll get nice and warm real quick. We start making our way up the slope, and it's steep, yes, but we're just taking our time with it.
Watch this little part, you guys.
Yep.
Feel good, Colton?
Yep.
We're going up and up and up. It feels like this climb is never going to end.
Oh boy. This is it. This is the final pitch, right?
Yeah, yep.
Man, we have covered some serious ground. Wow. Our tents are just these tiny, tiny little dots way, way in the distance.
Don't let down your guard. It looks like it's a little sketchy, especially with loose rocks. So it's not that far, but we need to have all of our wits about us, I think.
Whatever wits I have left.
All right, here we go. Cross our fingers for an epic, epic view of the Arrigetch Peaks.
Yeah.
Oh, I can feel it. I can feel the suspense. It's building.
Finally, we break out over the ridge and the view is unbelievable.
Oh, wow, you guys. Oh my God.
Oh, man. Yes, yes, yes.
Woo! There's the Citadel just towering above us, looking more majestic than we've seen it this entire trip.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
At the same time, just intimidating.
Oh,
you know?
so intimidating.
It just has this ominous presence over you.
The name Arrigetch means fingers of the outstretched hand, and it's easy to see how they got that name.
I love that on the way, we got to see the overview of all these Arrigetch peaks. And now right here, we're standing at the base of just one of them. And it
it's
looks
the big
massive.
daddy of them.
We've definitely earned the opportunity to kick back and just take in this incredible view. Before long, it's time to hike back down to camp and our last chance to watch for the northern lights. But as we're crossing a creek almost back to camp, we spot something.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, oh my gosh.
It's our last night in Gates of the Arctic National Park, and we've had some unexpected visitors.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, oh my gosh. Super cool.
That be a mama and cubs?
Maybe.
Those are big.
They are big.
Grizzly cubs stick with their mothers for 2 to 3 years. When a female cub leaves her mother, she will typically stay close to the home range, while male cubs will wander a bit further.
The reason you can tell that these are definitely grizzlies is the fact that you've got this boxy shape of the pad down there. And then you can see the claws, where normally, like if it was a black bear, you'd have more of a circular print. They're caught red-handed, they're here, you know?
But look at this. This is like a whole other creature. I think it's a wolf. Check this out. Wolf tracks are usually like the size of my whole palm. This is a small wolf.
Alaska is home to at least 7,000 gray wolves. While gray and black wolves are the most common in Alaska, they range in color from black to white and even tan.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, you guys want to get back to camp?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Keep your eyes peeled.
I know.
Tonight at camp, we'll continue to scan the landscape as well as the sky once it gets dark. My alarm goes off at 3 in the morning, and finally, they're there. The northern lights are shining, and they are unlike anything that I've ever seen.
The northern lights are such a mysterious phenomenon. It's almost like the glory of nature is just unfolding right before you. The lights can appear in many different colors depending on the type of gas particles that are colliding with the Earth's atmosphere. Green is the most common, and it's a sight that you'll never forget. Gates of the Arctic has put on a show for us in every sense of the word.
This is one of those parks that I've been dreaming of going to for so long. This is wild, wild territory.
Woo! We made it!
We got here and my expectations were completely thrown out. But look what we did. We were able to get out into the Arrigetch Peaks, some of the most crazy, phenomenal looking mountains I've ever seen in my life. And we got into the heart of them, right up there.
All through it, I just had this sense of complete gratitude. It's hard to get to. And so even when it was tough, you just kind of have that smile on your face because it's all part of this national park experience.
On this trip, we only got to experience a small sliver of Gates of the Arctic, and we're leaving wanting more. And remember,
Hey, if we can do it,
So can you.
So the next chance you get, go out and rock the park.